My name is Charlie. Currently, the driving examiner will ask you one show me question and one tell me question. Both of these questions will be asked at the beginning of the test. However, as from December 2017, the driving examiner will only ask one tell me question before the driving test. The remaining show me question will be asked during the drive itself. Okay, let's get started with the tell me questions using a Ford Fiesta. Tell me how you would check your brakes are working before starting a journey. The brakes should not feel spongy or slack. They should be tested before you set off. The vehicle should not pull to one side. Tell me where you would find the information for the recommended tyre pressures for this car and how tyre pressures should be checked. The information will be in the manufacturer's guide. Use a reliable pressure gauge to check and adjust the tyre pressures when they are cold. Do not forget to check the spare tyre. Tell me how you would make sure your head restraint is correctly adjusted so it provides the best protection in the event of a crash. The head restraint should be adjusted so the rigid part of the head restraint is at least as high as the eye or top of the ears, and it should be as close to the back of the head as is comfortable. Please note that some head restraints are not adjustable. Tell me how you would check the tyres to make sure that they have sufficient tread depth and that their general condition is safe for use on the road. The minimum tread depth should be at least 1.6 millimeters across the central 3/4 of the breadth of the tyre and around the entire outer circumference of the tyre. There should also be no cuts or bulges. Tell me how you would check that the headlights and tail lights are working. You do not need to exit the vehicle for this question. First, have the ignition on. Secondly, turn the light switch clockwise and then explain to the examiner that you would get out and walk around the car. You do not physically need to do this as this is a tell me question. You may also tell the examiner that the green symbol will be displayed on the dashboard. Tell me how you would know if there was a problem with your anti-lock braking system. The ABS warning light will come on if there's a fault with the anti-lock brake system. Tell me how you would check the direction indicators are working. You do not need to exit the vehicle. Explain to the driving examiner that you would on the hazard warning lights and then simply walk around the vehicle and check that each and every indicator is working. As this is a tell me question, you do not physically need to do this. Tell me how you would check the brake lights are working on this car. Explain that you would press the brake pedal, making use of any reflections in windows or doors, or you can simply ask someone to assist you. Tell me how you would check the power assisted steering is working before starting a journey. You should apply and maintain gentle pressure on the steering wheel while starting the engine. This should result in a slight but noticeable movement as the system begins to operate. Tell me how you would switch on the rear fog lights and explain when you would use them. Before switching on the fog light, you will need to on the dipped headlights by turning the dial towards the right. Fog lights must only be used when visibility is below 100 meters. Tell me how you would switch your headlights from dipped to full beam and explain how you would know that the full beam is on. With the headlights turned on, pull the indicator stalk towards you. The blue light illuminating on the dashboard indicates that the full beam is on. Open the bonnet and tell me how you would check that the engine has sufficient oil. Firstly, you will need to pull the lever, which is located just above the accelerator. You then walk to the front of the car, open and secure the bonnet. You would then take out the dipstick, wipe it with a tissue or a cloth and reinsert it back in. Take the dipstick out the second time and read between the maximum and the minimum markers. Open the bonnet and tell me how you would check the engine has sufficient engine coolant. Identify the engine coolant. It should be between the maximum and minimum markers. Open the bonnet and tell me how you would check that you have a safe level of hydraulic brake fluid. Pointing to the brake fluid, tell the examiner that it must be between the maximum and the minimum markers. Well, that's the end of the tell me questions. Now let's move on to the show me questions. Bear in mind that from December 2017, these questions will be asked on the move. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you wash and clean the rear windscreen? Pull the stalk on the right side of the steering wheel towards you. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you wash and clean the front windscreen? Press the end of the stalk located on the right side of the steering wheel. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you would on your dipped headlights? Without looking down, reach for the dial and turn it clockwise. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you'd set the rear demister? Without looking down, press the rear demister. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you'd operate the horn? Press the center of the steering wheel. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you would demist the front windscreen? Having pointed the air vent towards the windscreen, turn on the fan and adjust the temperature accordingly. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you'd open and close the side window? The switch to operate the window is on the driver's door armrest. Simply push down the switch to open the window and pull up the switch to close the window. That's the end of the show me tell me questions. Why not improve your chances of passing your driving test by watching these great tips? And please don't forget to subscribe. Now let us celebrate passing your driving test.